you know, really loaded. You never know what we're going to get.
Okay. Are there any blind spots so I won't stand there, or it doesn't?
Oh, no, you're actually really good right there.
Okay. I'll just.
So what I might do is, because we should have, I might just hold on for a little bit.
Was Cassidy the last presenter? Yeah.
It is freaky in that hallway. We're in the middle of the renovation, so when you see like somebody come here like, what's your purpose? What are your intentions?
I saw the sign that said "Wear a hard hat," and I was like, "Do I?"
Yeah,
I was like, "Do I?"
Wear a hard hat and 2 lights. So the public service desks are aware, and we have. So I opened the webinar, at least the classes, and we're good to go. That's great. That's great, because I don't know how to do that part.
I was just asking if the last presenter was Cassidy.
I believe it was.
Yeah.
I will find out in one moment.
I think so.
When did you do this? Almost to the date.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Cassidy, Life and Fire 2021. And it was October, or it was August. And then we did another one. I don't think we did another one. I think we just kept the recording going. And to answer your other question, we have, it says in-person with guests. 1, 2, so maybe we have anywhere from 2 to 4 people coming in person.
Oh, nice.
And the rest will be online.
Okay.
So it may look weird like we're talking to nobody, but we are talking to real somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I'm used to the virtual platform now, but usually it's just the top half of me, so now it'll be.
Actually, to be honest, we got you from your side, so.
Oh no, now I'm thighs up instead of here.
So I did simply just the tab so we could see the slide better.
Okay.
And I might close this one. Fortunately, I can't reach it. And so my goal is I'm going to stay over to the side, so that way you can really go straight. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to put on the mic, do a little brief intro.
Okay.
And then take my mic off.
Okay.
And last name is hello?
Yes.
Any particular frequency?
This one goes out to Maria from all the librarians out there.
That would be great.
Dankeschön. Darling, Dankeschön. Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's program. My name is Patty Smolin. I am the Business Reference Librarian at the Schaumburg Township District Library. The nature of my job as a business librarian is to concentrate on patrons that come into the library that have questions on job and career transition. I wanted to welcome back Upwardly Global, an organization that Chicago is very, very proud to host and home, that works specifically with individuals that are making the U.S. a new home and have the skills and the expertise and the education that they want to apply to their new positions here in the States. Co-partnering with me on tonight's program is Claudia Baranowski, who is our librarian and program and outreach, who focuses on ESL and citizenship. So Claudia and I are welcoming back Upwardly Global for the second time. We have been tapping into their resources since the pandemic. We're very pleased to know that not only are they continuing to serve in this capacity for job coaching and meeting with individuals, but they've also expanded because the need is so great. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn over the mic and the screen to Maria Tello with Upwardly Global. Please know that tonight's session will be recorded and there will be handouts available for those that ask for them. So if there's anything that the library can assist you with, you're welcome to get in touch with us at the reference desk and either contact myself, Patty Smolin, or my coworker, Claudia Baranowski, and the two of us would be happy to partner up to assist you. In the meantime, welcome Maria and welcome back. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Maria. I'm a job coach with Upwardly Global. And I'm going to be talking about the gold standard resume. And that is the standard that we have at Upwardly Global, how to improve your chances of success in your job search. So we help immigrants and refugee professionals who are here in the US and they want to get back into their profession. We help job seekers with resume development, with interview preparation. We help them build their network and also improve on the skills that they already have. So some of you may ask, what is the gold standard resume? So this is what our checklist is for a gold standard resume, and it includes some of the very key points. So always in our resume, we have a professional summary, we have a key skills section, we have a section for the professional experience, which is all your past work experience listed, and then a section for additional work experience that isn't specific to the profession or field that you are in, but it can be related. An education portion, obviously, and then any professional development and publications, especially if it's important to your work field. We also think that formatting is important and it should match throughout the resume. All right, so what is your professional summary? So your professional summary should always be at the top of your resume, and it's like an about section. So it's like about you, but as a professional. So the most important things are your professional title, your years of experience, and any areas of expertise. And it shouldn't be longer than 1 to 3 sentences. If you go past that, that's too much information. You're getting into cover letter. All right. So here's an example of a professional summary for someone who is maybe more in entry level or associate level in terms of the roles that they are applying for. So this is a customer service professional with 2 years of experience in building relationships with customers and vendors, and they have experience improving customer satisfaction, sales performance, and reporting. So here we see the 3 key components that should be in a professional summary. So we have their title, which is customer service professional. We have how many years of experience they have, which is 2 years. And then their key areas of expertise, which is improving customer satisfaction, sales performance, and reporting. Once you reach a higher level of experience in your field, this is more what your professional summary can look like. And it has a little bit more of information, but it's not going past that 3 to 4 sentences, right? Human resources professional with 6 years of experience in a broad spectrum of HR functions for large corporations, expertise in full cycle recruitment, talent acquisition, employee relations, payroll and benefits administration. Track record of driving advancements in staff training, productivity, and motivation through strategic employee-centered approaches. So again, we have that professional title, we have the years of experience, and we have the key areas of expertise. And then we have another sentence that can maybe put them apart from other applicants when they're applying for a specific job, right? But it's not vital to their professional summary, it's just something else that they can add to kind of improve their resume. All right, the next section should be a key skills section. So you want to include the most important skills that are required for the jobs that you're applying for. So most of those skills can be found in the job descriptions of the job post that you're applying for. You can include any soft skills that can be transferable to other positions. So you'll notice, right, that there is a pattern of skills that keep coming up in the job post that you're reviewing or that you're applying for. And so some of those soft skills like team collaboration, relationship building, and management, if you have those skills, you should put them in your resume. If you do not have those skills, don't include them, or try to take some professional development to gain those skills, right? Some technical skills, including specific software you've used in the past or have taken a course in to be proficient, right? So professional development, or maybe you've taken a university course, and you can add those skills of that specific software in your key skills section. So let's say you weren't as proficient in something that is important to your field. It could be a software like Salesforce. And so you need that for the jobs that you're applying for. And so you want to add that into your key skills section as well. All right, so this is an example of a key skills section that you'll find in a resume. So we have some important skills like project management and operations, administrative and office support, human resources management, and then how they apply some of the skills that they have for digital development, applying those digital tools. And like I said, those technical computer skills, right? MS Office, Google Drive, video editing, Final Cut Pro, Salesforce, all of those kind of technical skills, that is how you can list them in your resume, right? Anything else that is important and a skill that not everyone else has, perhaps, any additional languages, right? If you speak more than one language, especially if it's a language that you keep seeing popping up in those job posts that I'm talking about, you want to include them in that key skills section. All right, so now we're getting into the nitty-gritty, the professional experience. That's where you list everything where you've worked and everything that you worked on before. The most important things are always job title, the company name, and the location, and dates of employment, of course. A work description is necessary when listing your past work experience, and that could be in a bullet point list. And we'll talk about how those bullet points should look in just a second. If the company information is not easily accessible, which means if you were to Google the company name and nothing would come up on Google, then you might want to add a short one-sentence description of the company. And the reason for that is very obvious, right? The person that is reviewing your resume will not know what the company does or is if they can't find it easily on Google. You want to explain the work that you did, but you want to include metrics whenever possible. And so at Upwardly Global, we promote this format that is called PAR. And what that stands for, PAR, is problem or project, action, and then results. So what does that mean? So the P is a work or challenge that you were responsible for in your job. So that's a main responsibility in your past work. The action is the work that you did to resolve that problem or that project. And then our results, right? So you're sharing the positive results of your work, and that includes metrics, right? So think quantifiable results that you achieved in your past work. This is an example of professional experience and how it should be listed in your resume. So again, we see the title, the professional title. We see the company name, location. Obviously there's none there, but imagine there was something there. And the dates of employment, which is very important and can really, you know, if you don't have the dates right, it can cause some issues later on. So this is really important that you make sure that the dates of employment are correct. And then maybe the company didn't have or wasn't easily accessible, so there's a short description, right? Largest financial services provider with more than 600 branches and 15,000 employees with total assets at 230 million US dollars. So that's a brief description, and it doesn't need more than that. And so now you see in the structure of these bullet points, you'll see that there is a structure of the work that was done, what was the work, and then the results, right? So let's start with the first bullet point. Oversaw organizational and operational integration of company A and company B by merging 200 and 400 branches of both banks respectively. So here, what was the work that was done? Overseeing a project. What was the project? The project was the integration of company A and company B. And what was the results? The merge of 200 and 400 branches. So it's brief, concise, to the point, and there are no further questions as to what were the results, right, of your work. Let's go to the third bullet point. Formulated and implemented strict procedural and policy standards to improve branches' compliance and audit performances above satisfactory levels, and decreased branches with needs improvement rating by 2%. So what was the work that was done? Formulated and implemented strict procedural and policy standards. Why was that work done? You know, improve branches' compliance. And what were the results? This rating by 2%. And so we have metrics throughout. So you'll see 200, 400 branches merged at the top, and then in the third bullet point, you'll see that rating by 2%. And you'll see numbers throughout, and that's what I mean by metrics. There's quantifiable results of the work that you did. This is obviously a more senior role, so these results and the work that is included here is very impressive, but anywhere in your job, it could be customer service, right? How many clients in your past work experience in a specific position, how many clients were you able to help on a day-to-day basis, right? Was that 20 to 40 clients daily? What was the work that you did to help those clients? And what was the purpose of your work in helping those clients? So that is, again, the PAR format that I talked about. And it doesn't necessarily have to be incredibly impressive, but showing the achievable results of your work. All right, so we're moving on to additional experience. So your additional experience is going to include jobs that aren't directly related to the jobs that you're applying for, but they can explain gaps in your resume, or if you talk about them during interviews, it'll be helpful to like move the interview process forward. And it can also include volunteer or work experience that's unrelated to your field, but it's also impressive and you're proud of, right? It's your past work experience. So this section should be short and to the point. It should not be as elaborate as a PAR format. If you are able to achieve a PAR format, that's great. But it's not necessarily required because it's not a make or break section of your resume. And again, I'm always going to say these bullet points should be brief, concise, and to the point, right? So for this additional work experience, it was a volunteer experience for a lot of years with the New York State Division of Human Rights. And what it is that they did, right? File review on housing discrimination cases, attend court proceedings on housing discrimination. There is no inclusion of results or any more explanation or details because it's not necessary to the rest of the work that they did, but it is something important and it is something impressive that they did that they would want to include in your additional work experience. All right. Now we're getting to education. So education, you want to include your degrees, obviously, but you can also include any postdoctorate programs or university-related certifications that you did. You can include academic achievements or awards. A lot of the time at Upwardly Global, there are different awards that are given to our participants. Because they are from different countries, and so they receive awards that aren't as common in the US, but very impressive, and so we'll include that in the education section. Again, the section, brief and concise, and it should also be listed by the most recent or the most important degree first, and then going to the oldest degree or the least important. Now we're getting to professional development and affiliations. This section is all the courses, training programs, and certifications that you've done within the past 3 to 5 years. So anything that is older than that, you have to think about, is this vital and important to the jobs that I'm applying to? Is it something that is still relevant to the jobs that I'm applying to? And will this help my application move forward to the interview portion of a job search, right? If the answer is no, then you shouldn't include that in your professional development. And another thing is that while you're doing your job search, you might do a lot of professional development because you have more time on your hands. You don't have to include all of it because sometimes that makes your resume very long and the professional development section longer than the section that explains your past work experience. So you have to prioritize in terms of what's important, right? So if it's a certification or if it's something that shows leadership or management skills, you want to include that, right? Or if it comes from a very reputable institution, right? Then you want to include that in your professional development and affiliation. If you're a board member or were a board member, you would also include that in your professional development and affiliations. Now, this section isn't as common. This section is for publications, and this is important if your desired field is education or research or science focused. And so this is kind of what your publications would look like. You would obviously include name and whoever else also was included in the participations, the name of the publication and where you can find this publication. And if you don't want to do this entire section, you can just add a Google Scholar link that will go directly to your profile, and you don't have to create an entire section. You can just add a link at the top of your resume where you can find your name, your email, your phone number, maybe your LinkedIn profile, and then there you would add a Google Scholar link so they can view your profile. So this part is very important, often overlooked. Formatting should be consistent, and it should be the same, and it should match throughout. So by what I mean by formatting, so the font size, the type, and the spacing should be pretty much the same throughout. unless there is something different about the resume. Let's say you're a graphic designer. Maybe your resume is a little bit different because you want to show your creativity. Maybe then formatting isn't as important, but usually that's not the case, right? So consistent font size. We recommend Times New Roman or Arial at 10 or 11, and all font should be black. Same formatting and spacing throughout, so don't add extra space between work experiences or just where it becomes your resume could have been 1 page, but now it's 1.5 pages or 2 pages with all these extra spaces. You want to spell check, make sure that your resume doesn't have any spelling or grammar errors. So that may mean, using sites like Grammarly or Quillbot to see if there are any grammar mistakes if you don't have anyone that could review it for you, or you can read it out loud to yourself. And if something's not making sense most of the time, you've made a mistake. And one part that is really important and a lot of people forget is note tables or text boxes. A lot of job sites use ATS systems, and ATS systems are basically like AI that read through your resume and parse through your resume and take the most important parts. And basically these systems decide whether or not your application, your resume moves forward to a human, so a human will review it, or basically boots it, right? And so when you have a lot of tables or text boxes, the ATS system cannot parse through your resume. And so a lot of that information that you have in those tables is going to be lost, and all the work and the effort that you did is also lost, right? You also want to remove any personal information, so any information about your family or religion, or including too much information about your address. You want to remove that, right? All right, and this is the end, but I want to see if anyone has any questions.
I did have a question. In my experience helping people who have questions about the resume, there is a lot of software programs that will generate a resume for you. Are those good, or is it better to start just from scratch? Because of what you say with adding enough space or having consistency and not having those boxes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I know a lot of people are using AI sites like ChatGPT or
Yes.
I think it was like Resume AI. The one thing, especially because if you're a job coach or a recruiter or an HR specialist, and you see a lot of resumes with AI writing, it's very generic. And so it's not personalized or tailored to that specific person. And so sometimes if there's no editing after they've created the resume, we can tell that it's an AI generated resume or an AI generated cover letter. And so if for whatever reason, let's say a person has writer's block and they're just really struggling, they can use those tools to kind of create a first draft. But then they probably want a second, third, maybe even fourth draft of their resume to actually make their resume have their voice, right? And be an actual, representative of an actual person. Yeah.
Thank you. Regarding the professions or the career paths, I know that you have specific careers that are more heavy on perhaps the medical field, or are there particular professions that you have more support or more networks of companies that are hiring?
So within our organization, we have a team, our employer partnerships team, And what they do is they basically create networks for all the different kinds of professions. And even within our work as job coaches, we help a specific, let's say, umbrella of professions, right? So I help business, logistics, operations, marketing, human resources professionals, and some job coaches will help engineering professionals. And we have some job coaches that only help in the medical and healthcare field. And so we've created what we call communities of practice. And those communities of practice are geared to basically address the issues that come with these different kinds of fields. And then creating partnerships with companies in those fields. Yeah, I hope.
Okay. I'm going to pass it to Patty now.
Yeah.
So.
I did want to mention, because you had talked about ATS, that we do have an upcoming program. It's not in the near future, but it is in November. It will be an only online session, and it's called ATS or Bust, and it's about the applicant tracking system. Lauren Milligan, who works and owns Resume Day, will be talking about cracking the code on finding the right keywords for a job search and how to incorporate them into your resume and LinkedIn profile. So I think just knowing about ATS is really important. I know we had a program over the weekend about ChatGPT, and I don't know if that one was recorded or not, but if any of the people that are listening to this have any questions about that, please, do tap into the library. We'll answer them to the best that we can.
Yeah. I feel like that ATS systems is like an important part of just job search applications, and it isn't talked about enough. I feel like when we get new participants at Upwardly Global, the first thing usually that they say is, I'm not moving forward, right? I'm not getting to the interview part of my job search. And a lot of times it's because of those ATS systems. And maybe they have a resume with a lot of tables. I've gotten resumes where it's just all tables, right? Or they're not including some of those key skills, keywords that are in the job descriptions of the jobs that they're applying for. And so the ATS system isn't reading those keywords and is unfortunately booting their application. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just sending a message to one of our attendees, see if she has any questions. So, because I don't know that I have any.
If our attendees do have any questions, I understand the chat may have some issues tonight, but you can always go through the Q&A option and we can receive questions that way. So we'll stay on for a few more moments.
The requirement is still, can you remind or talk a little bit about, is there a time limit where perhaps immigrants and refugees are no longer eligible for services with Upwardly Global?
Yeah, so the latest eligibility requirements are on our website. So if anyone is interested in participating, they can go to the website and go to the section for what we call job seekers.
Yes.
And there you can find all the eligibility requirements. I think it's still to happen in the US, no more than 5 to 7 years. Mm-hmm. And obviously you need a professional degree from your home country and some experience, right? Some professional work experience. And then any additional requirements or eligibility, you would have to start an application and kind of go through that onboarding or orientation process to see if you can move forward.
Which includes testing of ESL, correct?
Right, exactly. So there also is a requirement of intermediate level language proficiency in English. And let's say you feel like your English is intermediate level in reading, but not so much speaking, just because there's not a lot of opportunity to practice, you can still apply for Upperly Global and see and test to see if you're in that intermediate level. And then we have basically some training programs and support that we provide to our participants who are not as proficient speaking-wise, haven't had as much practice. So.
Thank you. Yeah, that's wonderful to know. Actually, many of the students that I assist in my day-to-day is exactly that, is that they have very high reading scores and writing perhaps, but a little bit less on the verbal ability.
Yeah.
So to our attendees on Zoom, if you have no further questions, we will be happy to forward the recording of the Zoom to everybody who registered and who couldn't be here. So you'll get to hear the presentation in its entirety. But if there are no more questions coming from the Zoom audience, then I think we can end here.
Thank you. Maria, before we do bring it to a close, can you go on, please, and just show us the site?
The Upperly Global?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, it's a demo I like to give often, not being from Upwardly Global, but being from the library, just to assist patrons so they can take a look and see where to find some of the frequently asked questions that you have. And also, if they wanted to pursue it further, meeting virtually is an option. Is that right?
Yes.
They can meet virtually with you?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think just because most of our participants have jobs or just other commitments, most of the time they participate virtually.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this is the Apply Now section, and you can basically apply through the website. And like I said, you go to Career Coaching and see what the program is all about, and then do you qualify? So there's a section of all the qualifications that you need, and then all the participating states, right? So I actually have a job seeker who's in Minnesota, and I'm in Chicago, so. And then here are the program offerings, some employer networking and training access, some one-to-one career coaching, which would be with a job coach like me, some industry-specific career services, and obviously job readiness training that usually happens at the beginning of your participation.
Can we just take one look down under the for job seekers, the FAQ part? Because those might be questions
Sure.
that that some of our patrons may think only belong to them, but actually may be shared with others. If you drop down from for job seekers, and it's all the way the FAQ, right here.
Oh,
right there.
Oh, and another thing, it's completely free if you're eligible. I don't think I mentioned that. And it's 18 months.
Yeah, I think this part is especially helpful because it does answer many of these questions in full context in advance.
Right.
Just to have individuals get real comfortable.
Yeah. So these are the steps. You submit your application. Probably week 2, you would do an onboarding process. And then week 3 or 4 is that job readiness training that I talked about. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that it's completely free of cost.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was always particularly impressed with this section just because working a reference desk, any time all the questions are answered ahead of time is a super plus. Yeah. So, all right, any questions from our attendees?
Don't have anything.
Okay. Well, please know that while we might be bringing this conclusion, this to a conclusion right now, doesn't mean that we will stop answering questions. Between Upwardly Global and the Schomburg Library and myself and Claudia, we are still here to assist. So we are going to put this up on our Schaumburg Library YouTube site, and it'll be there for a period of time to refer to. And Maria, thank you so very much for coming out and taking the drive to us tonight. And Claudia, as always, pleasure to team up with you. And we're just going to call it a night.
Yeah,
Drop the mic.
sounds great.